Good afternoon. Welcome to our discussion this afternoon on how venture capital works. My name is Mike Luhanowicz. I am head of life sciences for Silicon Valley Bank on the East Coast. And I'm pleased to introduce our guest this afternoon, John Menline, who is our entrepreneur and is currently executive chairman of Fate Therapeutics, Brian Roberts, who is a partner with Venrock, and Judith Elsea, who is a co-founder, managing director of Weathergage Capital. Brian, describe your firm's role in the ecosystem of startup companies.
Sure, Mike, thanks. So Venrock is a venture capital firm, which means what we do is we, about every 3 or 4 years, raise a pool of money from what we call limited partners, people like Judith, and over a period of time attempt to invest that capital in terrific new entrepreneurial ideas, companies run by people like John. And then over some time period, whether it's 3 or 5 years or 8 or 10 years, we attempt to help John and his company grow, flourish, bring products to market, and then gain liquidity out of that investment, either through going public or a mergers and acquisition process, in order to take that capital and then return it back to our limited partners. Okay.
And so, John, you've been a very successful entrepreneur, and maybe you could explain to us what was the process for you, either with your prior company or with Fate Therapeutics. Did you approach Brian for an investment? Did he come to you? How did all of that process work?
Thanks, Mike, and it's nice to be here to talk about how venture capital works in general. From my perspective, it's a pretty interesting ecosystem because here we have people that might invest in a pension fund or a sovereign fund and then invest in a venture capital firm like Venrock. And eventually, that money will be deployed by entrepreneurs. And what's exciting from my perspective is the deployment of that cash is in some of the most innovative areas of our society. So whether it's telecommunications or biotechnology or green technologies, all of a sudden there's an opportunity not only to get fantastic returns, but really start to change the shape of the future for everybody. And that gets me very excited. And so with a firm like Venrock that I've known for a little over a decade, there's really 2 ways to get venture capital firms involved.
So what was the dynamic, or the mechanics, I should say, of the money flow? So you are the limited partner. Brian, you are the general partner. John's the entrepreneur. So how does the flow, what is the mechanics of the money work? Do you have money in your account? Do you call capital? How does all of that work?
Well, I can start it if you want.
Great.
So,
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
So, we're in the business of sort of selecting talent. And the talent that we select is generally at the general partner level of the venture firm. So we select a number of firms, right, based on the talent, our perceived talent, our acumen. And so we pick a group of these guys, right?
And you picked Brian.
And yes, we did. And we make what's called a commitment, as a limited partner into a fund like Brian's.
Okay.
And Brian will call money once he finds an opportunity from people like us as he's chosen the opportunities.